my distinguished guests, my colleagues, and the organizers for giving me a chance to talk about my case report and one of my e-posters. I'm Dr. Yogita. I'm working in NHS, and since a couple of years, I'm living here in the Northern Ireland. So, but this case report is from the Middle East when I was working there before coming to here. So can you change the slide or I have to change? I can't change the slides, sorry.
Hello.
Hello, I can't
Yes.
change the slide.
Yes, we
Can
can.
you?
Yeah, we can change.
Yeah, so can you
Yeah.
change? Yeah. Thank you.
Right now, okay. Hello, doctor. Hello, Dr. Yogita. May I audible? Hello. Hello, Dr. Yogita. We can't hear you. Hello. Hello. Yogita, Dr. Yogita. Hello. Can you hear me, Dr. Yogita?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, everyone can hear me.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. It suddenly
It's
closed.
okay.
I didn't.
It's a,
Yeah.
it's okay. I will share again.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Now you can start your presentation, doc.
Yeah. Thank you so much once again, guys, for letting me in. And then I'm going to present the case today. That was a patient with pregnancy with a massive uterine fibroid, and which we have dealt in the Muscat, Oman. And I'm going to talk about that case today. Can you change this slide, please? Yeah. So introduction to the leiomyomas, the fibroids, as we know them, they are uterine leiomyomas. They are the most common benign tumors which can happen in the females. About one third of women during their reproductive age group, they were having these types of tumors, which is benign and usually in the variable size. And 5 to 10% of women in their pregnancies also experiencing having these fibroids. So growth of these smooth muscle tumors is related to the estrogen and progesterone hormone, which will make their growth more larger. And sometimes we, if the if some and their growth is really influenced by those. So they remain asymptomatic during pregnancy most of the time, but complications can happen in around 10 to 30% of cases when the size of the fibroids is very big from the start of pregnancy, or very occasionally it can increases during the pregnancy. So when we look about the complications which happen due to the fibroid during pregnancy, with the general symptoms, patient can present with the pain secondary to rad degeneration, or pressure symptoms due to the rapid growth of the fibroids, which can cause the which can cause the which will make the patient uncomfortable, and the pain will become so severe. During pregnancy, patient can have miscarriage, can goes into the preterm labor, and can have placental abruption due to these fibroids. And during labor, they can present with the malpresentation, the obstructed labor. Usually, if the fibroid is in the lower segment of the uterus, the obstructed labor can happen, and the risk of postpartum hemorrhage is very high in cases when there is a fibroid uterus. So the treatment option, what we go during pregnancy with the fibroids, usually we have the conservative approach. We just give analgesics and just we keep the patient like if they can tolerate the pain, and slowly and gradually when the degeneration process will stop, then the pain will settle down. Or usually fibroid will not cause any much problem. But surgical approach, myomectomy, usually not the option for the patients, as we are avoiding due to the concern of hemorrhage, pregnancy loss, and uterine rupture, and the need of hysterectomy, as you all know. So that's why we are not going towards that. So now I'm going to present this case report. It is a rare case of priming gravida who was diagnosed in her early pregnancy with the massive uterine fibroid. And we did successful myomectomy, open myomectomy for her. She was at that time 14 weeks of pregnant, and then she had continued her pregnancy till term, and then she delivered by cesarean section. So I'm going through that case now. So the patient present, she was a 32-year-old priming gravida, which presented 14 weeks of gestation, which complains of severe lower abdominal pain, abdominal distension, and frequency of urination for 1 week. She was having these symptoms, but she didn't, because the fibroid was so big, she always never thought of it that she has a mass or something. She always she feels like once she got the pregnant, and then she started to have a severe pain. And on examination, we found the abdomen was markedly distended with firm and irregular mass, which was arising from pelvis and reaches up to the epigastrium. So this much big fibroid, and she wasn't aware about that, as she was thinking just it happens newly due to her pregnancy. And she was not bothered with the distension before. So the investigations we took out, initially we did the routine antenatal ultrasound, which shows a viable intrauterine pregnancy consistent with the 14 weeks of fetus, and then the multiple uterine fibroid, and they said one is the biggest one. Then we go with the MRI, as it is safe during pregnancy. So single intrauterine pregnancy with multiple fibroids, the largest being a subserosal fibroid about 30 into 28 centimeter, arising from the interior wall of the uterus or the fundal area. And they didn't mention the other fibroid sizes. Meanwhile, when patient was admitted, we tried for the conservative measures. Unfortunately, the conservative measures didn't work for her, as she was having a very huge fibroid. It was causing breathing discomfort, abdominal discomfort, and any regular activities. She can't do her regular activities, even daily work. And even while she was admitted in the hospital and on IV analgesics, she was still complaining of pain all the time. So then obviously the option was only remaining was to removal of this mass. So she was aware about that. Usually we don't offer these type of treatments to the patients when they are pregnant with the fibroid, but the fibroid size was, it's too big to leave it on its own, and patient understands she can't continue her pregnancy with this much big fibroid. So she understands, so the obstetric team and the anesthetic team discussed with her the option of myomectomy, and also explained about the possible risk, in which the risk of miscarriage was the highest one. And obviously, by any chance, if she's continuing the pregnancy, the risk of preterm labor, and might be the hemorrhage, blood transfusion, as the risk of hysterectomy with the hysterectomy was there. The patient and the husband was counseled in detail, and also the ICU admission and risk of losing her uterus was discussed in detail with her, but they agreed, and then we go on with the further. So during surgery, after general anesthesia, when we opened the patient, Obviously, we opened through the midline because the size of mass was so big. Upon reaching the peritoneal cavity, we found one huge subserosal fibroid, which is arising from the uterine fundus and extending up to the diaphragm. Then myomectomy was done. We were lucky because it was a broad pedicle, fibroid pedicle, which can be clamped, cut, and ligated in a way that it doesn't cause any problem to the womb, to the uterus, and it remain in a quiescent state. So the fibroid weighed around 4.5 kgs when we removed it, and endometrial cavity remained intact. We saw two intramural fibroids, 4 into 4 centimeter and 5 into 3 centimeter, which was on the posterior wall. And we didn't touch them. We left it as it is, as we don't want to interrupt the pregnancy. So the hemostasis was secured carefully at that time. And the blood loss was around 600 ml. She didn't require any blood transfusion. We confirmed the fetal cardiac activity after the surgery. We given her prophylactic progesterone to support the pregnancy, and she was discharged after 7 days. But we continued the progesterone till 24 weeks of pregnancy. Then serial growth scan were done for her because already she was having 2 more fibroids, and just to see might be the growth of baby is hampered or something has happened, but growth will remain normal. And elective cesarean section was performed at around 37 plus 6 weeks, and a healthy female neonate was delivered at around weighing 2.9 kg. The postpartum course was uneventful, and she continued her further follow-up. So when we reviewed the literature and we did the discussion, and what I found, the most of the women who have fibroid coexisting with the pregnancy go on to have a smooth pregnancy usually. In some cases, especially if fibroids are larger than 10 centimeter, the risk of complication may increase. As I already discussed, the complications can happen antenatally or during the labor time. Owing to the fear of heavy bleeding and consequent miscarriage, surgical removal of fibroid during antenatal period is considered as not an option. Obviously, we don't want to lose the mother don't want to lose her pregnancy. So usually we didn't give this option, and we wait till she will deliver the baby. If ever done it like last resort, authors have suggested that in selected cases, where conservative management fails, like our case, as the fibroids are rapidly enlarging or causing severe pain or pressure symptoms, myomectomy can be the suitable option. But we were lucky in that case, the fibroid was having the broad ligament and it was not interrupting the uterus. So in that case, we go on with the surgical management. And when I reviewed the peer-reviewed articles, the systematic review conducted by Sopropoulou that mentioned last slide, please. No, the previous slide, please. Yeah, the previous one, before conclusion. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. That revealed that myomectomy during pregnancy, though uncommon, but can be performed successfully during pregnancy without any significant complications. And similarly, another article which shows Levero has written that claimed that myomectomy carried out at a tertiary care facility with a skilled multidisciplinary team can provide very favorable maternal and fetal outcomes if there is a meticulous hemostasis coupled with proper patient selection. So if the fibroids are not invading the uterine cavity and it are superficial and they are in a huge size, which cannot make the patient to continue her pregnancy, in those cases, we can go for this option. So can you change the slide, please? So these are my references. And the take-home messages, obviously we follow the guidelines which are available to guide us, give different management options for any disease, but actual treatment is tailored according to patient's condition and situation at the time of presentation. Like if patient is presented with us with a huge fibroid, which she can't let her which can't let her continue with her pregnancy, even can't let her go her normal daily life. So obviously the option was only remaining is for surgery, which was not ideal during other scenario. But this time it gives her continuation of pregnancy and also relief from the symptoms. Thank you for listening this case report.